not covered in the deck. Okay, let's open the chat.
If you want the conversation starter, the slide 8 is probably a good starting point.
Actually, on slide 7, you mentioned Brian Wald, a big shout out. So care to expand on that, or should we just make sure that we're talking about that?
Sure. I don't know if Brian is with us today. So Brian noticed some issues with the license management job that we are providing, and he directly dived into the code and fixed that with us. So that was a great collaboration, and I'm really thankful that we can do that kind of things at GitLab.
And that's also very valuable because since most of our features are in the ultimate tier, we are not getting a lot of contribution from the community. And so it's awesome to have some contribution from GitLab people, because they obviously don't have the problem with the license of the code they are changing.
In the next group conversation, we will have the same shout out to Thiago from the support team, because he's working on the support of some Maven options for SAST. He's helping us right now. We are in the middle of the iteration, so that's maybe too soon to say victory, but we will celebrate that in the next occurrence. I was expecting a lot of questions. We probably have too many slides for that.
just leave an awkward silence, Philippe. We'll fill it in. But thanks for the slides. The slides are great, and I think a lot of people are going through them. Regarding secret detection, what are we thinking of using there? I think there's a technology called Trufflehawk, I think, but there's also something made by Intel, if I remember correctly. What are the options, and what are we considering?
So for secret detections, we are considering 3 analyzers currently. Trufflehawk is actually one of them. The other ones are, let me open this merge request because it's not merged yet. We're just in the middle of doing that. GitLeaks and Defense.
Awesome.
So we're aggregating all the results from these 3 analyzers and removing the duplicates, obviously.
And the merge request, can I click somewhere in the slides to get there, or?
Let me add that in there.
And for other presenters, Simon left a question in chat because he can't speak up.
We leave that here first, and I will add that to the slide. Simon, you want to speak to your point?
No, he can't. He's at the customer side. I'll speak for him. Secure is becoming a key competitive advantage for us against Azure DevOps in accounts. By definition, those accounts will be using C# and .NET. How do we make sure our support for these languages / the Microsoft stack is better than our competitors in the scanning landscape?
So we already have some support for .NET framework, specifically .NET Core for security features. So that's a very first step to jump in the Microsoft world. This is possible because .NET Core is available as Docker images that are Linux-based. Unfortunately, to fully support the .NET framework, we need a Windows environment. So we have 2 different paths we are following here. The first one is that we are discussing about having GitLab runners based on Windows as an option. So this will give us more opportunities to provide these features to our customers. On the other side, I'm getting more and more feedback that .NET Core is getting more and more libraries. So in the future, .NET Framework could be not really required in order to run applications. And .NET Core will be able to support a lot of applications more than it's doing right now or it did in the past. So .NET Core will be more and more useful to customers that are not supported at the moment. I don't know, Philippe, if you want to add some technical information, additional information about that.
You did great.
Okay, and obviously, since customers can use their own specific runners or the shared runners on self-managed instances, we can provide documentation and best practices to implement C# and .NET on Windows for their specific instances. Unfortunately, this will not be possible out of the box on GitLab.com unless we'll have GitLab Windows runners available as part of our offering.
Hey, Fabio.
So go ahead.
I'm going to go into new topics. So if you want to follow up on that one, go ahead first.
Yeah, I do want to follow up. I left a link in the Zoom chat. So for secret scanning, we seem to be using all of the technologies. Like it seems to be using 3 different technologies. Very exciting that we're pointing to a merge request and not an issue. Is that the case? And why do we need multiple ones?
We need multiple ones because the tools that we have identified are a bit complementary. Some of them can just spot some tokens. Some of them can spot SSH keys. Some of them, we're getting a better tool just by aggregating the results of the underlying tools. We want the security products to be a turnkey solution, something really easy to use without a lot of configuration. So if 3 analyzers are providing a better result than just 1 or the 3 separated, then it's a win for us. And that's why
I like it. That's the spirit. 1 analyzer, we throw in 3 analyzers. Well, great, awesome, great work, Mark.
Yeah,
hey,
so I
can
just
jump in?
Topics, so.
Go ahead, Mark.
No, if it's still about secrets, go ahead.
It is. So are we coordinating with the pro services team that's running a secrets project? Are these the tools they're using? I don't want to name the customer. I can talk to you offline, Philippe.
Talk to me offline because I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so there's a customer. Our professional services team is running a cleanup and going through all the old GitLab repos and pulling out all secrets and passwords. I just want to make sure we're working together. I'll connect you. We're good.
Yeah, that's a good point, Adam. Thank you. We were not aware of that. We got this suggestion of the tools that we can use from some conversation with customers, but I'm not sure they are the same. And frankly, we are not aware of this task. So please ping us in.
I'll connect you,
Perfect.
Michael Leopard and David Tachny. Sorry, go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you.
Go, Mark.
All right, finally. All right, so on slide 5, auto remediation, we've already done the first step, and it sounds like you're completing the MVC with this, 11.9 in March, which is awesome. I'm curious how usable the MVC will be, or maybe more pointedly, when will this be an awesome feature? Because I know the spirit behind auto remediation is amazing. And will that be at the MVC, or is that some future release before it will really fulfill what we
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mark. That's a very good question. So first of all, let's say that the MVC will be really usable by people. Unfortunately, let's say the only supported language and framework will be Yarn. So if you're using Yarn, you can absolutely use it and will solve all your problems. If you're not using it, it will be absolutely useless. That was just because that was the very first step. We want to close the loop up to the merge request. So with the MVC, you will be able to automatically create the merge request and run the pipeline and check results. So this is something that will not ask you to move away from the GitLab UI. That was my approach to it. So you can do everything from within the GitLab web interface. Then we have 2 different paths. We have to improve the feature. The first one is adding more languages and more frameworks, obviously, because we know that not everyone is using Yarn. So people may feel frustrated. They're just, they want to use the feature, but they cannot because they cannot switch the language because of auto remediation, obviously. On the other side, we want to continue beyond the MVC and to provide automatic deployment that is almost, already possible if you set up continuous deployment with CI/CD. So it's not really something we need to implement. It's just a matter of the process, documentation, and the flow. And then the very important thing that we need to work on is with monitoring team about the monitoring of the production environment and the rollback in case of problems. So all these steps are built on top of existing GitLab features or GitLab proposals. So there will be a very strict interaction with other teams, monitoring and release mainly. But I feel that, to give people the value of auto-remediation, the MVC is just, okay, I show you your branch with 0 errors after you add some. So this will give us some feedback. And that's why we are planning to have a beta testing user research. So we still have to figure out which is the correct approach to it, to get some feedback from customers for the MVC. So we are able to understand if we are going in the right direction, because everybody is happy and very, very excited about the entire flow, but we don't have anyone using it. So without an MVC, it's impossible to get real feedback from customers.
No, of course. So just to clarify though, in terms of by 11.9, it sounds like you still have to click in the UI to create the merge request, and then the merge request will run and potentially auto deploy and everything else, but there's still a manual action. So it's not still true auto remediate, which the vision was that, somebody, there's a Yarn module or an NPM module that bumps up a version, and within an hour, like 20 apps are automatically upgraded because it's truly automatic. That's not coming in the first MVC, even for Yarn, right?
Yeah, exactly. That will not be part of the MVC. That's an issue called fully automated auto remediation or something like that you can find in not the MVC but in the Vision Epic.
Right.
That will address a full coverage, because mainly it cannot be done related to to the flow that we have at the moment, that we are still having people concerned about, they want to review the changes before committing and this kind of thing. So we decided that the MVC should allow people to dive in and to get confidence that remediation is fine, and that's also why they will still be able to download the patch, even if they are able to download to automatically create the merge request. People are excited about that, but still a little skeptical. We can fix problems so easily. We want to allow them to have all the steps available so they can dive in, they can check what happened. And at the end, obviously, eventually, it will be automatically done. It will not be related to a pipeline anymore, but it will be also a sort of background process that will run even if you're not doing any code change to your repository, because maybe a new vulnerability will be out even if you don't change your code. And so your code will be detected as vulnerable even if you don't commit any change. You don't want your project to be forgotten just because you are not pushing changes every day. So it will have some challenges because we don't have this asynchronous background way of doing pipelines, but we want to still leverage CI/CD pipelines or runners at least to achieve this goal.
So what's the time frame for the fully unattended auto remediation?
Yeah,
there's no milestone on it yet.
Yeah, exactly. And that is intentional because it's very hard to understand that, mainly because we will move on different areas that are release and monitoring that we don't fully own at the moment. So we don't have all the information that we need there. And also I feel that we need to prioritize some additional language before we can go on the full path, on the full auto remediation, because I still feel that even if Yarn is quite common nowadays, if we go with the full path, but we are not adding new languages, people will be frustrated about that. So we don't want people to just say, oh yes, auto remediation, we heard about the story, but it's not usable to us. We will not keep up to date with it. We just want to raise knowledge in people that we want to implement their languages, their package managers as soon as possible. So this will probably be the first step, even if I'd like to continue with small iterations in both directions at the same time.
How about Fabio? Related to Yarn, why do I need to use Yarn to make this work as opposed to NPM? And how does this where's the overlap between, say, this auto-remediate Yarn capability and our upcoming, NPM package repository capabilities?
Yeah, consider that at the moment we are relying on Yarn itself to provide the diff file, the patch file. So we need Yarn for the fact that we are leveraging this tool to provide the solution. It is for dependency scanning. I forgot to mention at the beginning. So for dependency scanning, we're not talking about languages mainly, but we are talking about package managers and repositories, package repositories. So I expect it to be possible for all the package managers that provide this kind of solution, automated solution, mainly bumping the version of the dependency to the closest one that fixed the problem. We always obviously want to support a lot of different languages, so we'll build our own solvers, our own solution providers when not available. But still, if we move with things that are already there in the open source, in existing tools, it will be faster and we can support more in the short term. There was probably a second point to your question. I forgot, so if you want to come again.
Just, are you working together with the package team? We have on our package vision, NPM repository as a forthcoming feature. How does that feature relate to this auto-remediate feature?
Oh, I don't think that there is a lot of overlap here. The overlap I see between the two is about providing security vulnerability information in the package repository and use the repository as a proxy for external dependencies. We heard a lot of requests from customers. They mainly want something that is in the middle of all the requests their developers are doing, so they can create a sort of approved list of dependencies that developers can pull from the package management system. And this is a good point where Secure and Package will collaborate, because you will be able to set up a policy like, okay, if this package has not been reviewed for security flows, developers will not be able to pull at all. I know that it's quite strong, but that's a requirement we heard a lot in people. And also, if you're using a dependency from this proxy, let's call it like that, you will be able to check the security status because we have dependency scanning results that will be available there. It is very similar to what we want to do for container scanning. So for container scanning, you can consider a container like a sort of dependency, a sort of package, just a different binary format, but it's still something you can consume as a source to build your application, or it's something that you can build your application in and then publish for people, for deployments. So that's where the Secure will make their effect. From an auto-remediation point of view, it doesn't really matter if you're pulling your dependencies from our own repository or from an existing external one, because dependency scanning will act on the local code, let's say, on the local version of your code base that doesn't care which is the source you are pulling packages from.
All right. Wrapping up before jumping to Adam's question on auto-remediation, I just want to share the feedback that we've got from some customer yesterday. They are evaluating GitLab Ultimate and Snyk also on the side, and are not really in love with what they saw on Snyk, because the remediation process is a bit not super smart. Let's put that way. Since they are providing almost the same patches as we do, but they don't have any knowledge about the project. So they are able to provide the patch without knowing if it's going to break anything or not. So it's creating a lot of noise, especially in the SDLC, because this new patch and this new branch is going to be part of the whole process, and all the developers of the project will be notified of failures, success, and all the real merge requests from the team that are actually completely flooded by this noise. So they are looking really forward to see what we're going to provide with GitLab, and they have some great expectations. But we will be able to provide something different because we manage the whole SDLC. We will be able to trigger pipelines if we want. We will be able to hide that from the user, and they won't be flooded until we have some reliable information and real information to share with them.
And just, sorry, Philippe, just closing the loop on auto-remediation and container scanning. Obviously, we don't want just to support dependency scanning in auto-remediation, but we are targeting also container scanning, because if a container is vulnerable, we can automatically bump it or update it to a safer version. And so auto-remediation will impact it as well. We obviously are very ambitious, so we want to impact also on SAST and DAST. Even in those cases, that's probably a lot of challenges to figure out how to fix the code if it's SAST related, but that's our plan.
And we have, it's not really a question, we just have a comment from Adam in the chat on the lack of support for Gradle in dependency scanning. You're absolutely right, Adam. We don't have this support right now. Fabio, you want to jump in?
Oh, no, absolutely. Obviously, I'm very happy to schedule support. Just a kind request in case, I don't know if the SA is coming from, the frustration is coming from customer. In cases, always remember to put the customer label on the issue. I'm just saying that probably it's support request, but not customer labeled. That's very important because when we are, since we are a lot of issues to deal with, when we are prioritizing, we are filtering by labels. And I use the customer label to an analyst label and this kind of labels to better understand what can be useful for our customers. So if it has a label, it is easier that to come to my attention and I will be able to schedule it. So feel free to push your comments in the issue and label accordingly if you feel that we can make customers happy.
Yeah, Fabio, thanks for the reminder that we should put the customer label on there. I'll make sure I also put the Salesforce URL for that specific ultimate customer. I think they're just looking for, we may have schedule a call. We have a call with them on the 26th, but I'll try to reach out to you if we need to have a call regarding that issue further. What was I going to mention that, is there any timeline that is it going to be 2, 3, 4 releases? I know it's hard to tell. We just logged the issue like a week ago. So
yeah, probably I need to better understand the priority of this. So we may have a call about that. And as soon as I'm in good shape with understanding the priority, we can schedule next release or in 6 months. It depends how important it is, if it's blocking a deal or something like that. And obviously not complaining about the missing labels, just giving you some information. Unfortunately, still, even if we are humans, we need to automate a lot of our processes in order to be able to schedule things. And so it's just a matter, otherwise I will not be aware of that maybe. And just feel free, and you and everyone else obviously, to ping me directly in Slack if you see that I'm not giving priority enough to things that you feel that are very important. Ping me in the issue, absolutely, first thing. But in case you are not getting answers, ping me in Slack. I'm very happy to chat or to jump in a call.
You guys have been great. It's been less than 18 hours. Don't worry about it. You're good. We'll solve it.
Thank you. Okay, I think that time is over.
Yes, with respect to time, we will maybe take one more question and we will end up there. I'm sure you have one more question.
You can
Mark,
find it.
you're smiling, you're the next for a question. I'm sure you have one or several ones.
I definitely have a question, but I do want to respect the time. So I want to time box this one really quickly then. Security dashboard, do we have customers using it today? Do we have feedback? Do people like the things that we've chosen in there? And I see that our feature plans include like container scanning, DAST, and whatever else, but I really want to know what do customers need on that page?
Yeah, we got a lot of good feelings about the dashboard, but so far we don't have a strong case, user case, saying, oh, we are really using the dashboard, mainly from director security point of view or security professional point of view. That is our target for the security dashboard. So we are looking for this. I asked around if, and reiterating in this call, if you have any customer that is willing to share information and share feedback about the security dashboard or any other security feature, please connect him to me, and I'm very happy to jump in that call. What we know that, the only feedback we got is that we need to add, and that's obviously part of the plan, statistics about remediation time and how the trend is for the security team. So should be a tool for the director of security to understand how the team is performing, not just how the project is doing from a security point of view.
Right. I mean, I see reports from Kathy that include graphs that are not screenshots. Can we get them to be screenshots?
Sorry?
I mean, when Kathy or whoever from security presents the group conversation, they present graphs and charts, but they're doing it externally. When can we get them just showing screenshots of GitLab? Because
that's the goal, and we're working with Kathy to move their requirements into the security dashboard. Unfortunately, her dashboards and her graphs are very complex, so it's not so easy to build them. But that's our goal. So at some point we will be able to do that.
All right, cool. Let's wrap it up.
All right, thank you everyone. I don't see any more questions, so we will end up there, and we will see you in the company call. Nice day. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.